Ladies, gents, boys, girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, yeah, countrymen. Hello, welcome to another episode of CasualCraft. I'm your host, RedRipz. We're back here again on Neo Planet S with our Zerg friend in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, PanterA, the metal band. He's a Diamond League player here in the southwest position, and in the northeast position, the guy that sent me this game, my good old friend Wolfy, blue Protoss player of Team Betamax. He's in the blue, looking sexy as a Protoss now. And yeah, well, it's another game here from me. I've sat here once again with my coffee, looking good, tasting good, and we're getting a nice little pylon out the front here for Wolfy. So he will be, I imagine, putting some sort of building down here at the front, often a forge, fast expandy type thing. Although notably the probe has completely sodded off. So either this is scouting or, dare I say it, Chiz. So we'll wait and see what happens. He said he'd send me a proper game this time. So hopefully we'll be getting more than just a cannon rush out of him here. Cannon rushing a Zerg's never usually that good an idea anyway. Zergs, because they're creep, they can obviously defend off the old cannon rush quite well. And they very nearly blocked a pool there at the back. Actually, that would have been quite a funny little accident for Wolfy there to block PanterA's pool within seconds of him going for it. But yeah, absolutely pool first build, and I think that was 14 pool. I didn't actually quite catch the supply count, but he was on 14 when I looked again, so I guess he was on 14 initially and built another drone there. Meanwhile, we're going to see an expansion here out of PanterA. Wolfy here is going to be sticking down the forge. Yeah, forge fast expand of the classic anti-Zerg build. Essentially, you stick your cannon down the front, kills anything that comes near you, because you can just completely mine it. And that was completely wall it off really, because you just sort of stick cannons and stuff down here. Any Zerglings and stuff try and run in and just die to cannons, and they've got to run all the way up around the edge of here. Often if you block here as well, right around the edge of the second there, just to get to the main base. As Wolfy does stick down his second base, so yeah, we're seeing a macro game out of these players here today. This should be quite nice. Yeah, all very tasty as the first cannon comes down here for Wolfy now. Obviously, this early on is really difficult to tell what both players will be going for. The two major options to Protoss at the moment seem to be the sort of the ground death bally type business. If he's not going for an early sort of all-in type build, is usually the sort of ground death type army, stalkers, zealots, colossi over the top, few immortals in there to deal with the roaches, that sort of thing. Whereas the other build obviously is the air toss, which is the favourite of so many Protoss players at the moment, especially against Zergs, because God, I have such an issue dealing with Void Rays as a Zerg player. They just go through Queens, they go through your Hydras, they go through your Corruptors. Really, even Mutas aren't really that good against them. It's difficult. Now PanterA's going for an early third here, so fairly standard stuff. Nice early third, 4.5 minutes that was down. It's good stuff for him. He wants to get lots and lots of bases and stuff out. Usual sort of Zergy business here, as Wolfy will be walling off the front here. So I reckon we might be seeing an air toss build out of him here. The Cyber's coming down, which he wouldn't need for Gateway particularly, for Gateway tech if he was going for air toss. But it does have the air upgrades on it, which is why you'll need that Cyber core. I mean, obviously you want to get Warp Gate anyway, but it's just worth noting that obviously all your air upgrades come from your Cyber Next core, so it's always worth getting even in an air build. Obviously, actually, you'd need it to get onto the next tier of tech and things like that. But oh no, we're seeing a robotics facility coming out here, so this will be for, I'd imagine, some sort of warp prism harass is typical there. We'll probably be seeing some warp prism come out. We're seeing obviously warp gate come down. He's not going to be chrono boosting that out though, so he's not rushing in with anything. He'll probably just be populating the two bases that he's got and going from there as PanterA is moving out with some Zerglings there. He's got down 2 queens here. He's got down another one as main. Seeing the first gas come down from him now, so it looks like we're getting Zergling speed before too long. But I don't think we're getting early pressure out of either player here. It's relatively simplistic really in that sense. They're sort of going to sit back, macro up a bit, get with gases down, all these lovely things. With Wolfy's actually taking quite a lot of gas now, so I wonder what we'll be seeing out of this robotics facility next. I would imagine it'll be a warp prism. It's oh no, observer first. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of scouting on first with the observer as we see an extra gateway come down there. Now that'll take his count to 2 gateways, which isn't overly aggressive considering he's got 2 bases. However, I would imagine we'll be seeing more of what he's doing. And oh, he's actually coming online now. I just hope to God he doesn't interrupt the game, because I always forget to set myself as AFK before I start these damn things. Now, if we just have a little glance down at the bottom left here, I don't actually know how to do this. I can't remember how to set AFK when you're in game, so I'm just going to hopefully just leave me busy for 5 minutes there. Yeah, anyway, I've got a third base here out of PanterA up at the top. He's getting his Zergling speed out, he's getting his carapace down for his overlords, which basically allows him to move faster. This helps with scouting essentially, and also allows you to do drops, although they're obviously really underutilised for Zerg players. Zerg players don't tend to go for drops, they tend to just prefer to overwhelm at the front here. If you run up with a bunch of roaches or something and take down like one of these buildings, you can go through this quite quickly. I mean, obviously the cannon will be putting down stuff, and we'll be seeing the warp prism here. Yeah, as I thought, warp prism coming out of him here, and this will be going to warp stuff in once the all this is finished building. I imagine we'll be getting sentries out there. Let's see what else he's going to drop in on top of this. We're not seeing anything out of the robotics facility, so I'd imagine we'll see a bunch of we've got quite a lot of gas, so we'll probably see some stalkers out here with the 4-5 gateways he's got down now. Probably some sort of stalker sentry push thing in one of the bases here. We'll see a drop of some sort. I mean, PanterA does have down spore crawlers in his bases, so he probably will be able to deal with anything immediate, or at least it'll give him more space to like if the spore crawler's here, you can't start warping things in within this sort of area. So it just give him a little bit more time to deal with any of Wolfy's assaults here. Back on his on the main base, sorry, on the third base, or even any other base of our Zerg player PanterA here, who's basically just building up his usual sort of roachling army here. Obviously Wolfy's spotted all this, he sees what's going on, he sees the evolution chambers and roach warren coming down. And now actually with the warps into in the main base here, we've seen a lovely little force field on the ramp there. That completely is going to keep everything out the main base of PanterA now, which is so annoying to deal with as a Zerg player. Basically at this point all you can do really is continue spawning stuff in your main base, pull your drones back and just hope you can knock through these sentries here. Essentially I reckon the best thing perhaps to do would be to take the drones and start attacking the sentries directly, in the hope of killing the ones that have the higher energy so that they can obviously not be continuing to force field the ramp. However, we have now seen Wolfy pick them up there, which is a lovely little trick of micro there, just to help keep those out. But obviously you've got to drop them slightly quicker to get the force field down to make sure that PanterA can't push the main of his force up the ramp now. And as we see the last of this assault cleared up here, the damage is really substantial there. 14 workers killed there for Wolfy. That was a really strong little attack, and we've actually seen more zealots being warped in now as the force field actually just slightly misses the top of the ramp there. Although they are going to be splitting up the roaches beautifully. So yeah, we should see the last of these roaches die here before too long if he chooses to do so. Although actually with the spine crawler in the back of this base, it's going to be a lot better defended than I initially thought. As the last of the zealots fall, we won't be seeing the layer fall eventually there, which is kind of a shame really. That I think perhaps Wolfy could have maybe, if he'd perhaps microed just a little bit harder, not necessarily through any fault of his own, but if he'd perhaps got the sentries down slightly, got the force field down, and then pushed in hard with all those zealots directly on this side of the hatchery here, away from the spine crawlers, he might have been able to take it. But it's really tough, and the amount of damage he did anyway is substantial. I mean, 16 workers killed is fantastic here, as he does in fact now go for his third base. That's obviously a really good move behind all this. We're seeing the immortals start coming out now to combat the roaches that we're going to be seeing a lot out of PanterA here, it feels, and we're seeing extended thermal lance come down, so we'll be seeing a Colossus on top of this now as well, from the robotics facility before too long, I'd imagine, once the extended thermal lance upgrade is finished up. We're also seeing missile attacks come out of PanterA here now, so it looks like we'll be sticking with this roach play for quite a while here. I'd imagine he'll go into Hydras before too long, basically to boost the amount of damage you can do. Although to be honest, Colossus and Immortals are the perfect sort of counter to this type of army, as the Colossi just do so much AoE damage to any of these units that it's just really difficult to play against as a Zerg, without getting either air units up or larger units like Ultralisks or something along those lines. We are seeing that's a Warp Prism speed upgrade, I believe. Yep, that's that coming down there for Wolfy now, so I imagine he'll be making more use of the Warp Prism slightly later on in the game. I didn't actually see him lose it, although I'm not sure if it is it still around this. Yeah, it's just hidden out the bottom of the map here. That's all very tasty there, so I'm quite enjoying that now. Let's have a little look back here at PanterA, see what he's up to. He's obviously continuing to get his upgrades, getting more roaches out. We're seeing more and more gas come out of him now. I think we'll eventually see the infestation pit come down, and then maybe some There's the Hydroden going down now, as I thought. Yeah, we should hopefully see the infestation pit come down here at some point before too long, and you'll start moving into swarm hosts. But you've got to get a good sort of ball of roach hydra up first, and like a frontline defense. And actually, that was a really nicely spotted observer there. I quite like that. Bringing the spore crawler underneath before Wolfy could catch that and move the observer away. That was some nice little trick there by PanterA as he fights to get his mineral lines back up and running. He's actually completely saturated once again in his main base now, which is good, although he could probably do with some drones in the gas here, which is completely empty, unfortunately for him. Meanwhile, his second and third are both looking pretty healthy. He could probably do with a few more drones in his second there. He's not entirely saturated, but he will be moving out for a little bit of harass on his top base here, which I think Wolfy has seen, as the amount of photons coming down here is substantial. And the zealots are coming in behind that as well. Beautiful, beautiful. His stack should be cleared up without too much bother, although the roaches behind are going to cause a much more severe problem unless the army of Wolfy can get into place, and that actually completely has done. They won't be able to get up here now for PanterA, as anything that does try and get through will just be split in half by force fields and completely cut down by this little death ball here of Wolfy's here on his third now. So this does actually leave the front of Wolfy's base a little bit open to attack now if our Zerg player decided to take advantage of this. I mean, it's not really ideal when you've got a roach army and it's sat off creep, but maybe some lings down the front to harass there to pull the army away. Or something like that, and he could have maybe pushed in with the roaches there, but I don't think he was going to get very far, not at least while the force fields were sat there on the ramp, dealing so much there to him. Now we're seeing another warp in here, and actually I've completely missed that. I'm kind of gutted really, but yeah, seeing another warp in there of DTs and zealots, and that obviously that's completely taken out the main base there of PanterA now, as he pulls his arm back. I should have seen that. I'm kind of good. Let's just snip back and see that again, just for clarity. I just want to kind of see what exactly happened there. As much as I like to keep the replay going, it's yeah, he's just coming from the bottom, and I think he's warped everything in without too much sort of bother in advance. Yeah, he's brought it all down, and we've got DTs in behind. So that's going to be taking that down, which should allow this to move in once again if necessary. And we will be seeing obviously this layer fall now as the army of PanterA scrambles to try and defend it, but has absolutely no chance whatsoever. As we can see here, there's just too many DTs and zealots that are just going to go straight through this. They do way too much damage to be able, for a single queen to be able to stop it. Perhaps some pulled drones might have delayed things enough there, but I'm not sure what would have been the better option for PanterA there, as his main base does fall out, and this back row hatchery will be completely behind that now. Luckily the warp prism pulled away there. We're not going to be seeing that falling there for Wolfy, which is always nice. So we'll have to see what both players are up to now. So obviously Wolfy's got his 3 bases up now. He's pretty much saturated in this base. Not quite. Do a few more probes out there, but we're actually going to be seeing a full wall in now from this line of photocannons and gateways here at the third base of Wolfy. So that should stop any further pressure up this ramp. Certainly without him noticing anyway. It won't allow the PanterA to get up there without basically causing Wolfy to notice. It means that he can't sneak troops in before it gets force field or anything like that, which is definitely a good thing for in Wolfy's position, because it's really nice now, because it means he can keep his army here in the middle. He can defend up here if the Zerg player comes up here, or down here if the Zerg player comes down there. So really there's not that much that PanterA can do here other than engage directly with the way Wolfy's playing this, which is very, very nice. Now meanwhile, of course, PanterA's going to be taking his 4th base here. This is in the bottom middle of the map. He probably could have done with this down a bit earlier, but with all the pressure he's been receiving, it's been quite difficult for him, I feel, to actually get anything out of that, which is a big shame. Now, meanwhile, Wolfy's going to be moving down to the bottom end of the map here. He's actually leaving a little bit of a gap here. It's sort of quite exposed at the top. This top base could be pushed into if PanterA had a more mobile army, but unfortunately he doesn't. So it does look like PanterA will be going for a straight-up engagement with this Zerg army here on the 4th. Straight up engagement with Wolfy there in front of his 4th base there for PanterA. So now as Wolfy's moving out, he'll be clearing out the creep again. Obviously this is great. It completely cuts the manoeuvrability of a Zerg army, and it's exactly what we're going to do. You need to cut down manoeuvrability of Zergs, because Zergs can just, if they can move around too quickly, they can just get all over you, and it's really bad. And I need to learn how to set this AFK when I'm casting as well. That's pretty atrocious now. As PanterA will be just bouncing off the force field too. He's not going to be getting too close to this army. Basically, he needs to get more and more corruptors out now, as his first 4 are finished up. But if you can get a bunch more out, he can start taking out the Colossi, and obviously that'll distract the Stalkers as well while he's at it. So less DPS all round for Wolfy there if PanterA can get that sort of engagement. Obviously, Wolfy's now actually pulling back out of the way instead. It looks like he's going to be stocking up more troops, getting his supply maxed out to 200. Before he decides to move out too much further. I'm not sure if we're going to see much more in the way of pressure here out of the Warp Prism there. The Warp Prism did die in that last little assault. As we see Wolfy now move out to the top of the map, it looks like he's just going to be placing some forward pylons there, make sure he can warp in if needs be, and I'd imagine eventually moves to take this top base here, since he seems to be completely neglecting this bottom one for some reason. Meanwhile, of course, our PanterA player here on the bottom of the map is going to be moving out. He's looking for the gold in the middle. He's going to be doing a bit of scouting there with his entire army at the same time. I'm not entirely sure what his crack is here. He's just going to be sort of posturing around, looking, see if he can find a place where he wants to move in, although I'm not actually sure if he really knows that much about where Wolfy's army is at the moment. He doesn't have any direct vision over the thing, so that'll be that'll be great. So we're seeing the burrow come out now for PanterA. This is to get under those force fields, of course, which is so irritating against Zerg players. If you can just burrow your roaches underneath that, they can obviously crawl underneath and pop up on the far side and kill everything, which is just lovely. It's exactly what you want to have a Zerg army. And now as Wolfy moves down again from the top of the map, we might be seeing some sort of engagement here as both players are sort of lining themselves up into position. PanterA should be aware now of where exactly Wolfy's army is as that Overlord's come out. And PanterA we're moving in for an engagement here, and it's actually I think it's a really bad idea for PanterA here. He's in a much weaker position. He's got a much smaller army there, and with this sheer amount of Stalkers and Colossi going on here, with the Immortal support, Archon support in there as well now, I can't really see much what this Zerg army can do other than try and counter-attack in some other place. He certainly doesn't want to take a direct engagement with this army, and really any sort of pressure on these top bases would probably be a good thing for PanterA, because it would just mean that Wolfy can't just move into PanterA's army, kill it all, and then move into his base, which is exactly what's going to happen here if PanterA tries to take a direct engagement with our blue Protoss player here. Now PanterA's going to be pushing up this ramp here, as I thought. He's giving a little poke there. He's actually just going to take out the rocks completely, it seems, as some of these corruptors are deciding to tank some of this. I guess he's just taking that out so that he can... Oh, right. I thought that was going to collapse. Apparently those don't collapse. They just disappear. Very well, right, so it looks like PanterA's entirely in Wolfy's top base here, as Wolfy's now actually moving into the bottom base here of PanterA, and that'll be falling much quicker than PanterA could get through Wolfy's base here at the top of the map, so PanterA has left a base behind in that respect. Now, as Wolfy has actually got his top base out at the top, and this base hasn't even yet fallen yet, with these DTs in here causing so much trouble for PanterA's army here, and it does look like most of these roaches will actually be falling straight up to these DTs. There's absolutely no vision whatsoever for PanterA here, which is a real shame here. He's not really doing anything beyond what's going on at the top there, although he's a little bit busy defending for his second base here as the force fields come out on the top there for Wolfy to try and slow down the army that's moving in, and essentially it looks like Wolfy will just be pushing gradually into this with his massive ball of Stalkers, Zealots, Archons, Immortals. He's got sentries down. He's got basically a little bit of everything in this army. There's even some Storms down ready at the back here on the High Templar, which obviously are great against Zerg. Any sort of AoE is just beautiful against Zerg because they've got so many units now. As PanterA's second base is falling here, his Roach Warren even is on its last legs. I can't see how PanterA is going to possibly come out of this now, as Wolfy does look like he'll be taking the game here as he pushes up into the he completely clears out the second base, and I imagine he'll be pushing up into the main base, ready to take out all that important tech, such as the layer and the infestation pit that we've got down now as well. Meanwhile, the last of PanterA's army has been cleared up in the top base for Wolfy there, so really I'm struggling to see what exactly PanterA's hoping to do anymore, really. I mean, he's got down a whole bunch of spine crawlers. I think that'll be in his third base. Yep, he's basically just going to try and turtle up here with the bugger all drones that he's got here. As Wolfy pushes into the main base now, and PanterA's supply falls to absolutely bugger all. And he doesn't like Protoss. Well, to be honest, PanterA, you could have done a lot more in the way of pushing out. Like, you needed to be attacking, like, if you'd come up the top, I think, and done some damage up here earlier, and then pulled back before he lost too much, and just kept poking in at the bottom with Lings, maybe just to stop Wolfy from pushing out with this huge death ball. He kind of just left Wolfy to just build up, and then, well, now we've got what's left here, which is 36 supply worth of drones, and that's about it, really. As we see a few roaches pop out here for PanterA as he goes on a right little whinge here, because once again he's failed to win against Protoss. To be honest, this sort of death ball play, this has been around since Wings of Liberty, man. If you can't deal with it, then get out the kitchen, you know. Like, what are you doing? So we're seeing Wolfy once again pushing here. Shame on you for using your army, and GG from Wolfy there, as he does go on to take the game once again. Now, I mean, to be honest, the harassment of Wolfy there with his Warp Prism, followed by just the straight up building this huge army and dealing with everything that PanterA had, was what won him the game there. There was some nice play out of Wolfy, don't get me wrong, but to be honest, PanterA's failings there were really what let him down. He didn't really deal with much of the like the pressure that Wolfy was putting on him with the Warp Prism and all that sort of thing, and obviously the force field on this ramp here was a a real pain in the ass, and that is obviously, as any Zerg player will tell you, that is really difficult to deal with. You've got your whole army sat down here, and the force field on this ramp, warp prism up here, just dropping units in on the main. It's so difficult to deal with as a Zerg, because you've got to then spawn a new army in the base to deal with it, and hope that you can take out enough sentries to let your main army walk up from the force field at the front. So that was unfortunate, and that did put him behind. But I do feel like he could have just been pressuring more. He like there was a long period of the game when we had an army that was sat either here or up here for Wolfy, and if PanterA had been sort of poking in here and there, just sort of bothering Wolfy, not necessarily doing too much damage, just bothering him and forcing him to move his army around, he might have been able to find a chink in the armour somewhere and maybe be able to push through and do some actual damage here, as opposed to just sort of sitting on 3 bases and dying. But to be fair, he took time. He had a nice little speech on how much Protoss is overpowered at the end, and completely lost the game. As a result. Well, thanks once again for watching. It's been another episode of CasualCraft. I'm your host, RedRipz, your dreadlock caster. Here once again. Like, comment, subscribe. I love any feedback you've got to offer as well. It's always nice to hear. I should be doing these videos now Monday to Fridays, pretty much. I'd imagine I'll probably work on other stuff at weekends, as I've got a few other ideas in the pipeline for shows and concepts I want to do. I mean, it's nothing too out there, just me playing games mainly or talking about games. But yeah, it's all relevant stuff. So yeah, have a great afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the game, and GG to both players.